Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stupid Gun Myths. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be talking about one that I've already made a video on a while back, but I'm going to kind of redo it and make an official Stupid Gun Myths video, to kind of add to the series so more people can see it. This one's basically the old trope and the myth of the Carcano's an Italian piece of shit. If you know who I was just impersonating, we'll talk about him in a second. It's kind of a fun thing to add to this, but this has been a myth forever, so I'll just kind of go over the basic history of the gun itself and all that stuff, and then we'll get into the myth and kind of tell you why it's kind of bullshit and where some truth can stem from, but it's not really in the design. So basically, the rifle was designed in 1891, implemented by Italy, and used until I think the late 40s or early 50s until they started using like M1s and Enfields and stuff. Italy did use them in both world wars, and before you go, oh, they sucked in them. No, they didn't. They held the Austro-Hungarians off in a very, very nasty front in the First World War. And the Austro-Hungarians actually liked capturing these things because they would shoot farther and a little bit more flat than the 8x50 cartridge. So that was an interesting little fun fact. And their supply sucked, so they could probably get more ammunition. But anyway, they did capture a lot of them. And then in World War II, yeah, they lost, but so did the Germans. So does that mean that the K98 or 98 platform sucks because the Germans lost back to back using them in two world wars? No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with that. So basically, the ammunition for these, and this is a really important thing that kind of contributes to this myth, is the awesome 6.5 by 52 millimeter cartridge. Now, if you notice, the bullets are extremely long. This is pretty common on late 19th century 6.5 millimeter bullets, like the Japanese 6.5 by 50. The original, I think, Type 30 cartridge had these rounded, long, needle-like bullets. Now, they're pretty interesting. I've actually fired quite a few of them, and they're really accurate, and it's a fun round. So, the intended bullet diameter, or bore diameter, rather, on these, the bullet diameter. I'm sorry, I screwed that up. The actual bullet diameter for these is 0.268 inches or 6.8 millimeters. Kind of funny because the military is trying to go to that for the 10th time in the past 20 years. The problem with that is that Privy Partisan and some other commercial ammunition producers, they produce their 6.5 bullets in 264 because I believe that's what the Japanese Arisaka Type 38 rifle in 6.5 by 50 is designed to fire. Now, that poses a problem with some Carcanos that have been fired quite a bit over the years because any rifle that's worn out is going to be a little bit more finicky when you're firing a little bit smaller. Even if it's a couple thousandths of an inch, it's going to be a little bit more finicky and you're going to probably lose a little bit of accuracy at long distances. Now, that being said, my old 1891 rifle, like I have on the top here, that I recently acquired, my old one fired .264 PPU ammo, no problem, 600 yards. I think it was in the video that I made. I was hitting steel, and once I figured out how to use the sights, actually, which is another story. But anyway, it was accurate, and it was hitting steel just like I can with any other bolt-action rifle from the late 1800s all the way forward. So it's a pretty accurate rifle. It all depends on how much it's been used, etc., etc. Now, the 264 works in most Carcanos that I've personally used and my friends have said, but not all. So that could be, somebody has one bad experience and all of a sudden, oh, her weapon's a piece of shit. The Carcano's a piece of shit because I couldn't hit something at 1,000 yards at this thing and blah, 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 or even, 100 yards. I couldn't get a sub-MOA group at 100 yards, this Italian piece of shit. And I don't know. My opinion is that it doesn't make the rifle a piece of shit. It either makes it shot out or maybe it's you. Maybe it's the shooter. Because, yeah, these triggers do kind of suck on the Carcano. I'll give you that. But the rifle itself is not bad. And then another big factor of this is in the 1920s and 30s, there were a lot of the long rifles, like the one on the top is considerably longer than the carbine, the M38 cavalry carbine on the bottom. You can see that. Now, the long rifle, the 1891, has got an extremely long, gradual twist in order to stabilize this long bullet. So I think it's like a 1 in 14 or 1 in 16. It's an extremely gradual twist. Now, a lot of these rifles that were shot out or just re-arsenaled during the 1920s and 30s in Italy were cut down into carbine length. So again, there's a massive difference in the barrel length on a carbine and a long rifle. Now with that, you take about even a third of the rifling that was used to stabilize that long bullet and it's not going to be nearly as stable, and you're going to have accuracy issues with that, which I can see. But that still doesn't make the rifle a piece of shit, in my opinion. Those particular ones, maybe, but the platform itself is actually really good. It was just some dumbasses that couldn't figure out that if you make a carbine, you got to add a little bit of twist in there to make up for not having the 22-inch barrel. So that could be another reason why people have had bad experiences. They're trying to shoot these carbines, which weren't meant for super long distance anyway, and they're not having good accuracy because the bullet's just simply not getting enough twist on it. So that's another reason. So, and I'm glad somebody brought that up in the comments. I'd read a huge article on that a while back, and I totally forgot about that. Because I mean, a lot of these Carcanos that you see are cut down into carbines, so that could be a huge reason for this myth of why they suck. But I'm telling you, if you use the correct ammunition, which we'll get to our next point, these are actually pretty solid rifles, pretty solid shooters. I've never really had one that isn't extremely accurate and reliable. I've never had an issue with a jam malfunction, anything like that. And yeah, so now where this can get dangerous is in the late 1930s with these carbines, a lot of them, they realized that they needed a little bit bigger cartridge to keep up with the Joneses, and they came out with the 7.35 by 51 millimeter, which is basically, I mean, this isn't where the 7.6251 came from, but it's basically equivalent to a 308 or 7.5 French, somewhere around there. It's bigger, it's a 30 caliber bullet versus a 264 or 270 diameter, 6.8. So 6.8 versus 7.7 millimeter. And the problem with that is a lot of those weren't marked, and a lot of them were actually sent to Finland as for use in rear echelon jobs. And that's a considerable difference in the cartridge. I don't actually have one to show you, but if you try to put a 268 diameter bullet down a 30 caliber bore, it's first of all, it's not safe at all to not fire the correct cartridge, and it's just gonna rattle and kind of maybe just make it out of the end of the barrel, and it's definitely gonna keyhole with a round that's shaped like this, and it's gonna be terrible. So then, of course, that's not the ammo's fault, that's not the user's fault, that's the rifle's fault, because Elmer Fudd can't figure out how to use the correct fucking caliber in his correct fucking weapon. Yeah, again, I guarantee that's happened more than once. I've actually heard of people doing that. And another conversion that the Germans did on a lot of the carbines at the end of the war is the 8mm conversions. Though, I mean, yeah, I don't even want to get into that, but it's the same philosophy. You're putting a smaller cartridge down, or a smaller bullet down a huge bore. You're not going to be able to hit the broadside of a barn. And that's not the rifle's fault. That's your fault for not knowing the correct ammunition. And if it doesn't blow up, which it probably shouldn't, because the Carcano is actually a pretty decent action, it's pretty strong, and if it doesn't blow up, it's not the rifle's fault. Anyway, so as far as the action goes, it is strong enough, and it's fast enough to make the infamous shot, which, I don't give a shit about your fucking conspiracy theories. I'm so fucking sick of hearing about them, but for the sake of just, whatever the story that the government told us, which I'm not saying I believe it or don't believe it, I'm just saying it is what it is. Lee Harvey Oswald apparently used an M38 TS, which is similar to this. It's not a cavalry carbine, with a cheap scope and all that shit. And a lot of people have tried to recreate the shot. Now, here's the issue, is the guy at the beginning that I was doing an impression of, Jesse the Body. I qualified expert marksman when I was governor of Minnesota. Okay, well, you did that on an M16 or an AR platform, which is inherently different than a bolt-action weapon. You can qualify expert on an AR pretty easily. I managed to do it when I was in. It's not that difficult. However, I don't think I could do it on a bolt gun because they are entirely different when you're handling them. So I'm just curious that if I was actually given a replica, an accurate replica of the infamous Carcano that killed JFK, apparently. Again, I don't give a fuck about your conspiracy theories and, you believe the Warren Commission? No, I never fucking said that, so cool your shit. I'm just saying, if you believe that story and you don't think it's possible because the Carcano isn't good enough to make that shot, I would challenge you. Because I wonder if I was given a replica and I was given, a batch of ammo that's the same bullet diameter, which in that particular batch that they scientifically analyze, it's a .267 diameter bullet, and which would maintain accuracy in a carbine even. And I wonder if I practiced for a couple weeks, like Lee Harvey, practiced a lot longer, I think I could make the shot, just from what I've seen. Like, it's not impossible. Now, as far as working the bolt fast, Jesse looked like a monkey trying to fuck a football working this bolt. Not a bolt gun shooter, not familiar with it. It's really easy to shoot these fast. In my other video, I did it, and I've done other videos on how to palm the bolt and other techniques that you can do to, make it shooting as fast as a accurate semi-automatic, damn near. So anyway, Jesse, if you're watching this video, man, I don't hate you or anything. I'm actually just from across the border. You came and spoke at my middle school when I was in, I think, 7th grade. I remember that. It's pretty cool. But I'm calling you, and I'd like to go up and replicate that shot sometime with a exact replica using 267 diameter bullets, and maybe give me a couple days even just to kind of get familiar with the weapon itself and get the technique down. And I'll show you how to work a fucking bolt gun. So friendly little call out there. So I doubt you're watching, but anyway, it'd be interesting to see if I could pull it off. I've heard other people have pulled it off, and they also know how to shoot a bolt gun. Anyway, it's not the rifle's fault. It's the user's fault for not knowing how to use it or not using the right ammo. The ammo thing is a pretty consistent theme if you've been watching this whole series. If you notice, use the correct ammo in your weapon, and generally it'll work. So anyway, there's a lot of myths and bullshit about these particular weapons that I've heard. If you still think they're bullshit just because you've heard these things and, oh, I heard that there's bullshit, so they're Italian pieces of shit, and you don't know how to work it, fine, you can keep thinking that. But I'm just here to tell you that if you haven't experienced one of these and you don't have any bias, you should definitely try to pick one up and get some ammo for it and go out and shoot it. They're really cool weapons. They're not pieces of shit. They're really effective. They've taken out a lot of people in the world wars. So anyway, yeah, I'll cut this one short. It's going a little bit long. I just had to get that part about Jesse in there and kind of the whole myth. Because people go, oh, well, Jesse Ventura couldn't do it and he qualified expert. Well, there's a little bit more to that. Anyway, so they're great guns. I like them. They used to be cheap, and now that people are actually finding out that they do have historical value and they are pretty damn accurate, they're getting a little bit more expensive, so that sucks. Anyway, I know, I didn't actually cover everything I wanted to in this video, but it's actually not important because you're either going to believe this or you're not, just like any of these myths. So, all right, let me know what you think. If you got good experiences with these rifles, let me know. If you got bad experiences, let me know and why they were bad. Maybe it was the ammo, maybe it was you, maybe it was your rifle being shot out and old, but that can happen with any rifle. So, all right, I'm going to end the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Yeah, so if you got any questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, I appreciate you watching. If you consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, the link is in the description. It's $1 a month to buy you in, $12 a year. I do a lot of exclusive stuff on there, and $5 a month or more levels, you get access to my Discord, which I'm usually on during the day, and sometimes at night when I'm lurking. Anyway, it's pretty interactive. It's been fun on there, getting a lot more people on there, which is pretty interesting. It's a fun time. Anyway, if not, I totally get that. I really just appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Stupid Gun Myths. That's all I've got. Fuckity bye.